This pillager grinder will give you 30 levels in 37 seconds. That's 120% faster than the most popular enderman XP farm. And it's a one-dimension farm, so you don't need an AFK partner if you play on a server. It's fairly straightforward to build. The base version uses no redstone and has the option to use stone casting to further minimize the build effort. The fundamental principle behind this farm is to use a raid to bypass the mob cap. This concept was provided by ENX04. Pillagers join a raid when within 96 blocks of the raid center. In this grinder, we position the raid center between the top and middle villagers because the center is the average position between all points of interest within 64 blocks. In this way, the raid center has the perfect placement in the middle of the farm. When the pillagers spawn, they join the raid and then are not counted towards the mob cap. This allows an infinite amount of pillagers to spawn. The line of sight to the villagers is maintained with slabs to prevent idle pillagers. Finally, we use the pillagers' own aggressive raid pathfinding to attract the pillagers to the kill chamber, thus reducing entity lifetime, collisions, and lag. We will do the tutorial for the base option first, then cover some of the upgrades, like an on-off switch, efficiency upgrades, and the ability to use iron golems instead of some of the villagers. Then we will discuss a little bit about the impact of elevation. With that said, let's jump into the base version. I highly recommend watching the entire tutorial at least one time before starting. I've also included a link to a tool in the description to help you build this farm. The tool will really help make the process much easier as it calculates all the important block locations, and I will be referencing these blocks throughout the build process. Alright, to start out, we want to pick a good outpost. It's best if the outpost is at the lowest elevation possible, say a ground elevation of around 80 or below. If you want to make it higher, that is okay. We will discuss this more later at the timestamp on the screen. Avoiding mountains will be helpful, but you can just spawn proof if you have a very convenient outpost. The only key parameter is that your platforms must fit in a space 39 by 63. So make sure you have that large an area clear. Here is everything you need for the Redstone-less version of the build. To prepare, spawn-proofing the area with torches will help a lot. Also, placing a water bucket down, preferably to the -Z or north direction of the outpost, maybe 5 blocks out, will help us getting down from the top. Then find the center block of the first floor and place a building block over it. This block is our quote-unquote key block. Throughout the build, we will reference locations relative to this key block. So look at it and write down the block location. If we say, for instance, the key block y plus 10, it would be the key block's coordinates, but with 10 added to the y coordinate. Or just use the tool. That's the whole purpose of it. I highly recommend it. With that said, to get started, seal off the bottom floor from the first floor, and then tear down the outpost structure above the first floor and spawn-proof the remaining structure. We will start with the villager cells first. The key block you placed earlier is actually the floor to the first villager cell. On top of the key block, tower up with temporary blocks 2 blocks. Then place bottom slabs on all 4 sides of the block you are standing on. Tower up 3 more blocks and place bottom slabs around the block you are standing on again. Repeat this 4 more times for a total of 6 times. After that is done, dig down to the key block again. Now stand 2 blocks to the -Z or north of the villager cell and face towards the villagers. Place a block under the 3 slabs furthest from you and a composter under the slab closest to you. Tower up and repeat this for all villager cells. Now remove all temporary blocks and make sure only the bottom cell has a floor. Now the villager cells are done until we get our villagers. Time to go and do the top portion. I recommend bringing everything you need for the top part with you all at once. Here's everything for the top portion. Start the tower with temporary blocks at the key block Z -3. Tower up to an elevation of key block Y plus 19. If you intend to immediately or eventually make an on-off switch, which is highly recommended, we have a couple of blocks to place here. If not, skip to the timestamp on the screen. Place 2 temporary blocks on the side of the block you are standing on to the positive and negative Z directions, or the north and south. Then place a temporary block on top of these 2. Surround both blocks with temporary blocks. Break the block in the middle and the connecting block. That is all for the additional portion. If you are making the on-off switch, use walls here. If not, temporary blocks are okay. Start towering up from the middle of the additional section if you did that portion. Tower up to elevation key block Y plus 65. Once here, we will make our mid villager cell. It is again right over the key block. Place a temporary block at key block Y plus 64, which is 2 blocks to the positive Z direction or south of the wall tower. Place another temporary block on top of the first and stand on that block and look in the positive X direction or towards the east. Then place a composter on the side of that temporary block and one on the opposite side. And place 2 building blocks on the other sides of that temporary block. Place slabs or non-spawnable blocks on top of the composters and other blocks. Go back to your wall tower and remove the temporary blocks. Now continue the wall tower up to elevation key block Y plus 123. If you are planning on making an on-off switch, we should lava cast that now. If not, skip to the next timestamp. Just place a temporary block on top and then a block on the positive and negative X directions or east and west. Break the first temporary block, then place a bucket of lava on the wall and let it flow down for a couple of minutes. Once it reaches the bottom, remove the lava with the bucket, then wait a couple of seconds until you can see the sides of the wall and place a water bucket against one of the temporary blocks. Make sure to place the water against the block and not on the wall, or it won't work. After maybe 5 seconds, pick up your water bucket, and that's it for the lava casting. Break the cobblestone block in the negative Z or north direction and place your iron trapdoor on the cobblestone block while facing towards the wall column. Jump on top of the wall and then build 1 block up with an unspawnable block. Place your redstone lamp or really any conductive block over the trapdoor and then place a lever on it. The redstone lamp is in the middle of the platform. From there, build a 5x5 platform with non-spawnable blocks. Once done, we start on the killing chamber. Place the water bucket on the center block on the positive Z or south edge. It should be the key block Y plus 123, Z minus 2. Once it has flowed a second or two, swim down and place a temporary block under the block the water was placed on. If you casted the on-off switch part, you can just skip the water and use the cobblestone that's casted and under that block as a placement block. Come back up, remove the water, then place a stairs block where the water was placed while looking out from the platform. Now shift walk over to the edge next to the stairs and place a temporary block on that first temporary block out from the platform. Then break the first temporary block. Place a building block next to the new temporary block and 2 on either side. Then go out 1 more layer for a total of a 3x2 platform next to the temporary block. Now cover the temporary block with a bottom slab, remove the temporary block, and place 2 more bottom slabs on either side of the first slab. Go to the far edge of that new 3x2 platform at the middle block. Use the water trick again and place a temporary block under that block. Remove the water and place soul sand next to the temporary block. Remove the temporary block, then place 2 soul sand on either side of the first one. Build up with temporary blocks above the 3 soul sand blocks, then build up surrounding the soul sand with a 2 high wall. Remove the temporary blocks, light soul fires on all 3 soul sand, and then put top slabs over the soul sand fire. From inside the kill chamber, place trapdoors over all 3 slabs and open them. Place building blocks over the outside trapdoors and a glass pane between them. Now we just need to surround the chamber and build it up. Build out from the platform to the soul sand walls with 3 blocks on each side. Then on one side, cover the first 2 closest to the platform with building blocks and a temporary block on the third. Place 3 building blocks out from that temporary block, covering the back of the killing chamber. Then break that temporary block. Now from the outside of the kill chamber, add 2 blocks on the other side, closest to the platform, to seal the chamber and the trapdoors. Now just wrap the rest of the 3x1 killing chamber with building blocks, and then build 1 more layer and place a bottom slab over the staircase. Now just add 2 more layers around the killing chamber, and the chamber and the platform are done. You should be standing on elevation key block Y plus 129. Cover the top of the killing platform with temporary blocks. From the top of the killing chamber, find the center block on the platform side of the chamber and build out 3 blocks with building blocks. Build out 4 more blocks with temporary blocks, and then place a building block at the end of those blocks. The last block should be at the position key block Y plus 128 and Z minus 9. Add a temporary block on top and surround it by building blocks, except for the side facing the platform. Put bottom slabs on all 3 blocks. Remove the temporary block in the middle and build 3 temporary blocks over the open side of the chamber, 1 block towards the bridge. Add a top slab over the holding chamber and spawn-proof it with a torch. Remove the top 2 temporary blocks and put a slab on the bottom one in line with the other slabs around the chamber. Now remove the bottom temporary block. Go back to the top of the killing chamber and on both adjacent sides build out 4 blocks. We will leave the bridge portion right now and go to the top to lava cast the bubble columns. Power up until you are standing on elevation key block Y plus 155. Now bridge over about 12 blocks. The location of the first bubble column is located at key block X plus 12, Y plus 155. Place a temporary block at this position. Then clear any blocks around it and place lava on top of it. You need to wait a couple of minutes for the lava to reach the bottom, then pick up your lava. Wait until you can see the sides of the block and place a water bucket. Wait 5 seconds or so and then pick up your water source. While this goes, you can repeat the process for the other bubble column. The position of that block is key block X minus 12, Y plus 155. While that is casting, you can go to the first bubble column and break the top block. Then you can break the top 2 blocks on the side facing inwards towards the center of the build. Then on the opposite side of the tower, break the block under the top block and replace it with a staircase. Next to the open side, place 2 blocks on both sides of the tower and use one to gain access to the top. Place 2 building blocks on either side of the staircase. Now put slabs on every spawnable block minus what you need to get back inside. Repeat this process for your other tower. Now keep the temporary bridging blocks up top, but dig down from your tower to bridge level. Now we build the bridge out to the bubble column on both sides. On one side, place 2 temporary blocks out from the bubble column at foot level. Place 2 blocks on either side of the first temporary block closest to the tower. Now jump on top of them and place another layer of temporary blocks on all 4. Surround these new temporary blocks with more temporary blocks, completely surrounding them at that level. Then break the original 4 temporary blocks. This is where we are going to catch the lava for our drop chute. There should be space in the middle where the lava will land, which is surrounded by blocks, preventing further flow. Repeat this on the other side. Now go back to your original tower and build up to the top level again. Go to one tower and on the open block side, build up 3 temporary blocks in line with the inside wall of the tower and place a 4th on the inside of the build 1 block down. Now place your lava and let it run down. It should get caught in the build below and not past the bridge level. Take up your lava and when the sides of the block are visible, place your water bucket on that block. Pick up your water bucket after a couple of seconds and break the temporary blocks. Now place a sign above the drop chute. Place a temporary block in the center of the bubble column tower, 1 block lower than the staircase. Then waterlog the staircase. The water should flow to the drop chute and stop at the sign. Then break the temporary block to allow the water to flow to the column center. Finally, make sure that you seal off the top with the bottom slab roof. Repeat the process on the other side. Remove all temporary blocks that helped with building the tower and dig back down to the bridge. Remove all the temporary blocks to help with lava catching, and the drop chute should stop 2 blocks from the bridge level. Add a 1 high wall of blocks on the villager's cell side of the bridge, preferably with non-spawnable blocks, or add torches to spawn-proof. This goes all the way across except for the 3 blocks in front of the kill chamber drop chute. On the back side of the bridge, make a 2 high block wall with bottom slabs on top, covering the entire back of the bridge. Pick a side and place a water bucket on the bottom of the drop chute and note which side it is. There's one more thing we need to do before getting the villagers. Make the bubble columns work. Jump down to your pre-placed water, Or if you're not as reckless, use a water bucket to swim down to bottom level. Once at the bottom, we are going to build our bubble column. Start with the tower side that you placed water at the bottom of the drop chute. The cobblestone tower goes to ground level, but we don't need to go that far. So bridge over and find the elevation of the key block and break 3 blocks up, including that block. Place the soul sand in the middle and then 4 non-spawnable blocks off of it towards the center of the build. Place a sign on the non-spawnable block next to the middle of the bubble column. Now replace the block above the opening with a non-spawnable block. It should be 2 blocks above the block you are standing on. Place a trapdoor under that block. We can get into the bubble column by crouching, and we place kelp all the way up. Ian X04 shows a nice trick here, where if you have at least 8 torches, you can repeatedly place them while swimming to refill your air. Once at the top, you can jump down your drop chute. Hopefully remember the water. Jump back down to the bottom, break the bottom kelp, and ride back up to collect it. Then move the water to the bottom of the other drop chute, and repeat on the other side, removing the water at the end. Once done, add rails to one side, and take note of which side. Make sure the rails go all the way to the top villager cell. Now the bubble columns are done, and we are ready for villagers. Build rails or powered rails to the bubble column and send your first villager there, following them up and into place in the villager cell. Now place a composter under the open slab and your top villager cell is done. You can remove the temporary blocks and rails on that portion. Going back to the bridge, break the middle temporary block over the killing chamber and place a block on the opposite side of the hole from the rails. Jump in that hole. And while making sure you don't fall through, break the block directly under the hole in the killing chamber. Break and rebuild yourself out of the killing chamber and get back down to the bottom of the build using a water bucket so you can get back up to the platform again. Make sure the very bottom villager cell has a rail or unpowered rail on it. Then we can push our second villager into the bubble column and down the hole at the top of the build. They should land on the rail in the bottom cell. Cap them off with a top slab above their head, which should be the floor for the next cell up. Add a rail or unpowered rail to the floor of the next cell and populate that villager the same way. Repeat this process for all the villagers here. Also, this is a good time to remove any temporary blocks in the area and the rest of the outpost. Then building up or using water and temporary blocks, gain access to your mid villager. Place a floor block with a rail on it. Populate this cell and cap it off, totally enclosing it, and make sure it's spawn proofed. Now the villagers are all set. We just have a couple more steps, albeit ones that take quite a long time. Go to the bridge level again and remove the rails. Now cover the top of the bridge with bottom slabs as a roof. Stand on the villager side of the killing chamber and remove the temporary blocks there. Place trapdoors on both edges of the bridge towards the killing chamber and open them. Place bottom slabs over the 3 blocks beside the killing chamber and trapdoors under them. Jump down into the killing chamber, taking care not to fall through the hole, and place a building block in that hole. Then waterlog all 3 slabs. Now the top is done, time to finish the bottom. Moving back to the non-spawnable blocks near the bubble column, we are going to repeat this bottom pattern. So it's 4 non-spawnable blocks out from the water column center, a sign at the bottom block next to the water column, and a trapdoor on the top block. Repeat it using temporary blocks for a total of 6 layers on both sides. These should be in line with the levels the villagers are standing on. Now comes the fun part, the platforms. Move to the other side of the bubble column with temporary blocks, and we are going to start building the large platform. Each platform should be on the same level as the non-spawnable blocks towards the center. As you make the platform, use torches to spawn proof to save yourself some grief. Out from the bubble column, we bridge out 18 blocks with building blocks. From that last block, it's 8 blocks in both adjacent directions. You can fill this area back to the bubble column. From the bubble column side out to the side of the platform, it should be 18 blocks total. At the 18th block, it's 8 blocks outward from the build. You again can fill this in. Go diagonal from both outside corners of what you have already built to each other and fill in that area. Then count 11 blocks out from the side of the tower and build from this 11th block towards the center of the build and over to the other water column. Go back to the first water column and we are going to build a diagonal from the block next to the water column to the line that we just made. Fill in this shape. Repeat this for the other side of the water column, and then flip and repeat for the other water column. Connect the platforms and fill in any other spaces to make it a full platform in a squarish oval shape. Now repeat this for a total of 6 platforms. But after all of this is done, we are almost there. Now just go to your bubble column level with your platforms. Break the foot level block and place a sign. Break the block above it and place a sign on top of that first sign. Then break the head level blocks on either side and replace with bottom slabs. Now we just create a ring of bottom slabs, 1 block above the platform, all the way around the hole on the inside edge. Repeat these steps for all levels on both sides. And it's done. Give yourself a big pat on the back for all that work. Just make sure you spawn proof with torches if you have any spawnable spots within the AFK sphere. You can use mini HUD to check this. Also, make sure you break any torches on your spawning platforms. To use this farm, you will want to crouch and walk into the stairs, aim at the gap under the glass pane, and attack every second or 20 game ticks. Once you get a Pillager captain, the raid will start, and the Pillagers will start coming in for the max XP absorption rate. To get up and down, you need to be careful not to block the line of sight of the villagers or build over the spawning platforms, both which will hurt efficiency. You can make a ladder from the top platform with a block jump like this if you want, or use a water stream and swim up. If you want to make a bubble column, that is a good idea, but make sure you have slabs on the same level as the other columns to maintain line of sight. While this is a working version, there is one upgrade I really recommend, and so we'll show it very quickly. The on-off switch. It's pretty easy, but not early game due to redstone demands. Here is all the additional material needed on top of the redstone-less version. We start at the top platform. Switch the lever so that the light is on. Here we use water to get down under the platform and build a little bit of a walking area. Break the cobblestone under the trapdoor and place an observer facing into the wall. Chain the observers facing them into each other out from there until you are under the composter. Tower up with the observers continuing to face them into each other until there are 2 blocks between the piston and the last observer. Place a temporary block to stand on and then place an upward facing sticky piston on top of the last observer. You can use the lever to test if it works. Make sure the villager loses their job when the composter is down. If not, break the composter and make sure the slab over the composter is in place before replacing it, and then replace the composter. Finally, make sure the switch is left in the on position with the light on before continuing. Remove all the temporary blocks and we are ready to move on. Use water to get down to the middle platform. At the foot level of the villager, break the cobblestone block nearest the villager and place an observer facing into the wall. There should be a conductive block behind the observer. Now just place pistons on either side of the conductive block facing towards the composter. Now move down to the bottom villager cells. Next to the villager cells, we are going to build a tower starting at key block Z-4. In line with the composter, with a 2-block gap, place a note block. It should be directly under the cobblestone wall we made earlier for the on-off switch. Then place a sticky piston facing from the note block to the composter, and add a redstone dust on top of the note block. Tower up to the next level and repeat this process for that composter, repeating all the way to the top. Once at the top, place an observer into the wall from the note block side and place a solid block on the other side. Dig down a little bit and from below place an observer into that observer. Dig down more and from below place an observer into the note block. Repeat this until all the note blocks but the very bottom have an observer placed on them. And finally, don't forget to spawn proof your pistons. Now this is all done. Just verify that the composters are all next to the villagers for the bottom cells, middle cells, and top cells. Go to the top and flip the switch and all cells should move the composters away from the villager. The switch will enable and disable raids from happening. It will not turn off spawning, but only disable the crazy spawning raids. Now you are 100% done. This version should be plenty for pretty much everyone. If you are a perfectionist though, there are some upgrades that will improve mostly game performance by reducing the pillager lifetime. First is a dripstone on the top drop. This will reduce the pillager lifetime and help reduce lag. Another upgrade is adding a downward facing dispenser with armor stands in it, plus a button. This will allow us to have an armor stand in the kill chamber, making sure that every swing will hit the pillagers due to sweeping edge. Finally, there's a premium version that has the lowest pillager lifetime, but takes some more redstone and resources. If you want to go with this premium option, check out the world download on the Discord server. There is one last option that does work and is easier to build as it reduces the amount of villagers to 3, but it's also less lag friendly. And that is to use iron golems in place of the bottom villagers, except for the top one. The reason it's less laggy is because pillagers auto pathfind to villagers with a point of interest during a raid. They do not do this for golems, but instead have to see them and aggro towards them. This is less efficient and can cause a lot of pillagers hanging around for a while before they aggro the golems. But hey, I hate villagers, you hate villagers, it is an option if you want. For all of the options discussed, I will include a world download on my Discord server. Before moving on to the elevation considerations, I want to give a huge shout out to Nvertd for doing a tremendous amount of work on all of these versions. I absolutely would not have made such clever farms myself, and if I'm being totally honest, he deserves more credit than I do for the final designs. Please give him a shout out and a thank you if you see him in the Discord server. He really deserves it. Continuing on, one thing that is not an option per se, but is a design decision, is how to compensate for higher than normal outpost elevations. I have included a full accounting of the elevation equations and a tool to help you determine if you need to adjust your particular farm because of elevation. This tool is linked in the description. I would suggest that you check it out, even if you don't have an elevation concern, because it will help you understand the mechanics a little bit better. But if you are looking for quick guidance, in short, if your bottom platform is under around Y85, you should achieve the max absorption rate with 6 platforms. If it becomes much higher, you will want to build a 7th platform if you want the max absorption rate. An 8th would only be necessary at around a bottom platform elevation of Y105 or Y110, so quite high. Building lower than the bottom platform elevation of Y80-ish won't really help you at all because you are already at the max absorption rate. So even if you can spawn more pillagers, those pillagers will not give you any more XP. So don't go crazy for a world eater. It's just not worth it. But if you have any questions, please join the Discord to get help. We have a great community of people who are willing and able to help. A big thank you, as always, to my Patreon members for your support. It's really appreciated. Particularly Brett Panic and Iana Arch, my 2 top tier Patreon supporters. And thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.